I got in a crash, humiliated myself at a police station, and somehow got a trophy for it. This happened earlier this year on my first official day as a licensed school bus driver. Actually, scratch that, it happened before my day even technically started. I had just gotten my school bus license less than 24 hours earlier after 7 intense days of crash course training. This was supposed to be my first real pickup. My trainer, a 20-year veteran, was riding along to shadow me one last time before signing me off. Before we even pull out of the yard, he turns to me and goes, "You got your license on you?" Weird question, I thought. In hindsight? Maybe the man felt a disturbance in the force. We leave the yard. I'm driving carefully, about a minute away from the first pickup. Nervous but excited. Feeling good. We approach a T intersection, beside where my poop story would end up happening months later. A pedestrian is crossing in front of us, so I stop and sit there waiting to turn right for a good 30 seconds. Then I let off the brakes, gently tap the gas to roll forward and bump. I immediately think, great, you screwed up the off-tracking and curbed your bus, dummy. Trainer doesn't even pause. Just goes, "Oh my God, we just got hit." Dead serious. Zero hesitation. We step out, and sure enough, a teenager has absolutely stuffed the hood of her Hyundai under the ass of the bus. Her front end is destroyed. The bus looks like it shrugged and said, "You good?" Because it's a school bus, even if it was empty, which we were, we legally have to call it in. Cops must attend every accident involving a bus. No exceptions. So now I'm standing on the side of the road, next to a crumpled Hyundai, while my trainer, total pro, keeps checking on me every 30 seconds. "You okay? You good? You okay? This wasn't your fault." Honestly, he handled it like a champ, but he was clearly concerned. In all those years, he'd never had an accident of any kind. Meanwhile, I'm trying to keep my pilot brain from kicking in, because I've seen a lot worse and I'm already mentally filing this under that was a minor inconvenience. We're outside exchanging info with the teen while waiting for the cops to show, but I couldn't stay there. I actually walked away from the scene, physically stepped out of view and hid near the front of my bus, hands on my head, just shaking it and laughing to myself like, "Only you. This would only happen to you." Eventually, a cop shows up, clears the scene, and tells us to drive to the station to file everything. We get there. I pull into the parking lot. Crooked as hell. Whatever. Trainer gives me one last warning. Careful getting out. You parked kind of bad. I nod, step off the bus, and immediately eat shit in front of the police station. Hard. Full faceplant. Right onto the pavement. In front of the police station, in front of my trainer. Still technically less than 15 minutes into my career. I hadn't even picked up a single student yet. I look up at him. He's just standing there. Not moving. Jaw slightly dropped. No words. Just pure silent what the actual fuck energy radiating from his body. And that's when I break. Still lying there, still in pain, just dying laughing. Because what else can I do at that point? Eventually I scrape myself up, limp into the station, file the paperwork, and somehow survive. Got back to the yard, got into my car, closed the door, and laughed hysterically for 20 minutes straight. That kind of broken, wheezing, existential laughter that only comes when the universe pulls your pants down and pushes you into traffic for fun. Fast forward a few months, my trainer ended up using my faceplant as a safety lesson in a company meeting. So now I'm not just a memory, I'm a cautionary tale. And then, because apparently the universe has a dark sense of humor, I won Funniest Story of the Year at our company award ceremony. Sometimes life doesn't hand you lemons. It dropkicks you in the face with the whole lemon tree, and then hands you a trophy for it. Let me analyze this story for you. This story is a beautiful collision, pun intended, of chaos, comedy, and self-awareness, unfolding with the kind of timing and irony you usually only find in scripted television. At its core, it's a personal anecdote about failure, but a failure so absurdly catastrophic, so densely packed with misfortune and humiliation, that it transcends embarrassment and becomes strangely empowering. From the opening line, the tone is already dry and self-effacing. I got in a crash, humiliated myself at a police station, and somehow got a trophy for it. It's a title that encapsulates the entire arc in one breath, but still invites the listener to buckle up for the details. The narrative begins right before the narrator's first official day as a school bus driver, and immediately sets up a sense of nervous optimism. They've just completed a week-long crash course training, a term that becomes darkly ironic almost instantly, and now they're ready to prove themselves. The presence of the veteran trainer adds to this dynamic, someone with decades of experience watching closely, the kind of figure who often appears in stories as either a mentor or a witness to disaster. That small, seemingly innocuous moment, "You got your license on you?" lands in hindsight like thunder. It's the sort of ominous question that retroactively feels prophetic, turning the trainer into a silent Greek chorus for the chaos that follows. The crash itself is described with masterful understatement. The narrator thinks they've curbed the bus, only to discover they've been rear-ended by a teenage driver who managed to wedge her car beneath the tail end of a literal tank on wheels. The physical mismatch between the Hyundai and the school bus mirrors the thematic mismatch between expectation and reality. It's not just a crash, it's a metaphorical rug pull. Everything was going fine, and then suddenly, the universe threw its first punch. What elevates this moment is not just the absurdity of the accident, but how calmly the narrator processes it. Their mental filing cabinet immediately labels it minor inconvenience, as if they're already dissociating from the catastrophe to keep from breaking down. But then comes the real kicker, the legal protocol. Because it's a school bus even empty, the police must be called. It's a cruel bit of bureaucracy that adds a new layer of weight to an already heavy morning. The narrator's response to this pressure is both telling and human. They physically step away from the accident scene just to laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of their life. That moment of walking away, hiding at the front of the bus, hands on their head, shaking with disbelief, is more than comic relief. It's a rare and intimate window into someone processing trauma through humor. It's the quiet pause in a comedy sketch, the moment the clown takes off his nose and just breathes. But fate isn't finished yet. Arriving at the police station, the narrator receives one final warning from their ever-patient trainer: "You parked kind of bad." And then, of course, the cherry on top, the faceplant. This isn't just a fall. It's the fall. The narrative culmination of a morning already stacked with professional and personal embarrassment. It's Shakespearean slapstick. What makes this moment brilliant is the way it's handled. The narrator doesn't rush to recover or look for dignity. They lie there, laughing, letting it all wash over them in a wave of absurdity and surrender. It's a cathartic beat that says, "Yeah, okay, I give up. You win, universe." By the time they limp into the station, fill out the paperwork, and eventually collapse in their car in uncontrollable laughter, the audience has taken the full emotional journey with them, from excitement to disaster to cosmic comedy. That kind of laughter, the broken, wheezing, borderline hysterical kind, is so deeply human. It's what happens when life becomes so absurd you can't cry anymore, so instead, you laugh like you're possessed. That moment in the car is the emotional resolution, the closing note of the internal arc, not defeat, not resilience exactly, but transformation. From trainee to survivor. From rookie to anecdote. And then, just when you think the story's over, it becomes legend. The narrator's trainer immortalizes their fall as a safety lesson, turning embarrassment into institutional memory. And months later, they win an award for Funniest Story of the Year, which is not just poetic justice but a kind of narrative redemption. It's the universe throwing a final wink: "Hey, at least we made it memorable." This ending reframes the whole ordeal not as failure, but folklore, a story to be told and retold at company parties, safety briefings, and remember when conversations. What gives this story its power isn't just the sequence of events, but how they're told. The narrator's voice is casual, honest, laced with gallows humor and quick wit, but never mean-spirited. There's empathy in how they talk about the teenage driver, respect in how they describe their trainer, and not an ounce of self-pity in how they process their own downfall. It's storytelling that wears its wounds proudly, as if to say, "This hurt, but look how ridiculous it was." On a deeper level, it touches something universal, the feeling of trying to start fresh, only to immediately trip over your own shoelaces in front of everyone. We've all been there, metaphorically or literally, on a first day, desperately trying to look competent, only to have the universe remind us that we're human, fallible, and often hilariously unlucky. But very few of us turn that kind of moment into a story as well-paced, sharply observed, and oddly uplifting as this one. In the end, it's not just about falling, it's about how you laugh when you get up. Or at least how hard you laugh while still lying face down on the pavement. And that, ironically, is what makes this story such a win.